Welcome back to Spotlight. I want to go right to my guest, Brother Skelton. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yes, peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings.
Happy New Year.
Same to you, sir.
Yeah, and Brother Faulkner.
Good to you, sir.
Peace and blessings. Happy New Year.
Pleasure to be here.
Good to see you guys. I know you're working hard. I'm going to ask you, first thing I want to know is where is the development? At what stage it is? We making progress? We got to be on time? Any problem? There's been rumors circulating that you had a big long whip you were walking around the Port Authority with, and you were beating people. Is this true?
Well, you know, as the chief fiduciary authority, we always have to conduct ourselves in ensuring that the authority gets value for its money, and so we are obviously protected. So sometimes the whip is important. And so that we can have things ready for April 29th, which is when we're expecting the first call from Norwegian Cruise Line. So at the moment on our pier, we're scheduled to bring both sides of the pier in by April 12th. We're working diligently with the marine contractor to ensure that that happens. And so we are on target with the pier. In this, you know, in this kind of work, construction, and this is the major development, and so there will always be hiccups along the way, but it's nothing that we're not able to overcome. So together we're working out the kinks to ensure that our pier is ready for April 29th, when we will receive our first call.
Okay, and so while the pier is in operation, it sounds like the landside development will continue.
Absolutely.
It's still be in progress.
The land side, it's happening simultaneously. And so on the land side, we want to have leases and turning keys over to tenants on April 1st. And then we will provide them 3 to 5 month build out. Some of them will need a longer period of time for the build out, such as our anchors. And so that come in April, May, we'll have a soft opening. We'll have some what we call our backer house, our terminal building, part of our merchants' row facilities will be up and functional. So there'll be a soft landing, a soft opening in May. The grand opening of the Pier Park will not be until October. That's when we want to achieve at least 95% to 100% completion of the total development. But come April 1st is our target date to turn keys over to tenants, provide them the opportunity to build out their space, so that come October, everything is fully operational by that date.
You have any concerns about the industry, from the industry? I know, well, I don't know. It's been rumored that industry partners have come down and cracked the whip on you. And, you know, there were some concerns that you weren't moving fast enough, that things weren't going to be ready. Am I hearing wrong?
No, yeah, you are hearing wrong on that part. Our industry partners, we on the same side of the table. So any whip cracking that's being done, we're doing the cracking. And our industry partners, namely the persons who are partners to this agreement, the berth agreements, Norwegian Cruise Line, Disney Cruise Line, we are in conference calls with them every week. There's a standard conference call that takes place between all of the technical persons, so they know just as much as we do relative to the developments, its progress, its hiccups, etc., as anyone else. So we are working in tandem with each other to ensure it's a partnership. It's a 15-year partnership. It's a 15-year marriage with the possibility of extending that marriage. So it's in our interest and theirs to work with us and with the contractor, all of our contractors for that matter, even on our land side, to ensure, Edgewenka, that this development comes in stream. Listen, for us at the authority, for Clarence, I'm sure, this is not just brick and mortar for us. We're building the future. We're not just building buildings. So we are passionately pursuing this, ensuring that all of the deadlines are met that we can honor, so that ships of the larger magnitudes can begin to call. We can move away from tendering and welcome all of our partners, our European partners, our American partners, back to the BVI as a destination. So we are really excited, and we're looking forward to that.
Okay. So when all that is done and when the pier is the park is completed, what will we have in October? What will be there? What would that look like? Restaurants, spaces. What are we gonna have? Give us a visual of what we're gonna have.
It's a mixed use. It's a retail space, commercial, office that is inclusive of restaurants. That's inclusive of indigenous business operations, selling the goods, selling the wares, displaying the goods and wares of the BVI. We have international partners who operate on different ports. The Diamond International of the world, the Bull Chance of the world, the Little Switzerland of the world. All of those who have been biting at the bit are at the table right now, securing their spaces. So it will be a mixed-use development, food and beverage, retail, commercial, office space, green space area, boardwalk. It will be a what I call a full comprehensive development for the destination, both for guests and locals alike.
You know, the concern has been the participation of the local business people, and you know, of course, all the ports that we go to, we have the big players, the big companies and multinational companies, boutiques and so on, and people are wondering how local BVI landers going to fit into that space.
BVI landers are very much a part of the space. And Clarence can even speak more to this. The queries, the interest, the nature of the business, and the letters that we've received has just been overwhelming from BVI landers. So BVI landers will be all throughout that space. On top of that, we are enforcing our policy that even multinational companies, the national companies come into the BVI doing business have to have a local partnership based upon our trade policy, and we are seeing to it that happens, and it's going well. I mean, persons they're open, they're making their contact, they're doing their groundwork. So it's ample opportunity for belongers, BVI landers, to own a piece of the pie and grow with the development on the cruise ship Pier Park.
And of course, the other side and the other concern that people talk about all the time is, are we going to have a lot of cruise tourists coming, but they are going to all stay in the park all day and hang out and not come to the other parts of town and generate income for the many stores and boutiques that's going to be in the inner city. Yeah,
the perception is wrong. The facts are different. Listen, by 2017, based upon the numbers we have now, we will be at about 850,000 passengers 2017. That is just in a couple of 2.5 years from now, based upon our projections, based upon our confirmations that we have already put on our books. And so you have 850,000 people, 605 calls in the BVI. First of all, they can't, and you don't want them to stay in a 4.83 square acreage of land. So it will be ample opportunity for our sister islands, development of beach breaks in areas, our land tours, our historic sites, our mom and pop shops, the craft alive. It's an opportunity to expand and develop Main Street. There will be ample opportunity. Again, our approach is, how do we develop the BVI product, a tourism product? Not just on the Pier Park. The Pier Park is just a catalyst. It's just the engine room. But really, the real business will equally happen throughout the territory, and everyone has an opportunity to benefit from it. But we are calling on persons, though. It's incumbent upon our people to ready themselves. Victory loves preparation. You have to prepare yourself to do business. If you are inviting the world to come to your territory, you have to be ready to receive the world and to do business. Our money exchange, a bulk of our cruise tourism, I guess, has been from Europe. So the pound they're using, the euro they're using. Shops have to be ready for that. Taxi men and women have to be ready for that. The conversion, there's a bank that will be on the site to help along with some of that. But we have to ready ourselves. The opportunity we're making available, but our people must ready themselves and prepare to do business with the world. because they're coming.
I think one of the discussions that has been had is the issue of whether or not the park is isolated to the cruise passengers. I think we've made it clear from the start that the park is open to the general public. And by being open to the general public has access to the park as well as the cruise passengers who will come off the ships and come through the park and come through the rest of Tortola, and the rest of the Virgin Islands. So it's an opportunity, like the MD mentioned, for us to ready ourselves. Just today, I spoke with a lady who owns a shop over in the on the Main Street area, and one of the discussions we had was whether or not persons are going to come to her store. And I said, ma'am, if I say to you that we're going to bring 6,000 passengers a week in front of your doorstep, can we be blamed if one person doesn't come into your store? The question is what are you going to have in that store that attract persons to come into that store? And I think that's the message that you're talking about, MD, in terms of, are we ready for when 6,000 passengers pass in front of your doorstep? What are you going to do to entice them to come into that store?
Yeah. And this is one of the great things about having Disney Cruise Lines as one of our partners, because one of the things that those berthing agreements provide for as an ancillary service is the development of the product, inclusive of traffic flow, both on the pedestrian traffic flow, vehicular traffic flow, development of the product. What are you offering? What are the guests looking for? So in terms of street walk, streetscape, how do you move people fluidly? How do you direct them? So all of that is a part and parcel of what comes with these berthing agreements, and what will lend itself to developing the BVI as a marquee destination for guests of whatever financial background.
Okay, let's switch gears, because we're so far on the 30 o'clock. The investment. We had a lot of talk about the investment in the news recently. It's been said that we don't have, you're selling shares, and we don't have a stock market to monitor the shares and to make sure that people don't get ripped off. And from the very beginning, it's been called a Ponzi scheme. I see that you got commercials on air trying to tell people that it's not a Ponzi scheme. But you have this group of people that seems bent on tainting the investment part, the project generally, but the investment part of the project in particular. How can we allay the public fears that this is a secure investment? Well, let's start with that.
Well, let me first say that, with any investment that you look at or you examine, the first question you have to ask is, what is the investment? And what is the investment from the perspective of realizing what will drive the investment? An investment is an opportunity for someone to utilize their funds to put it into something, and hopefully whatever they've put it in generates an opportunity for them to increase the overall purchasing power from that investment. Right? So basically, what have you got back from that investment? Drink, I have to say to you that I don't know if I will get into the notion of trying to defend what persons perceive the project to be when no one has actually come in and said, can you explain to me what this is? That's just not a game I'm going to get into.
You mean none of the people who are talking?
Well, anyone. What we've been saying from October 13th last year is, here's an opportunity. Any questions that you have, there's no such thing as a dumb question when you don't know the answer. Come in and ask a question. Even if you do not invest and you just want to learn information about the project, come in and ask a question. For someone to simply say some of the things that you've mentioned, I don't know what's the basis. I don't know why they're doing it. I am not going to speculate. What I can say is if there's any information about the project that someone wants to know in terms of the validity, the financial justification of the project, the assets supporting the projects, the agreements that will support the projects, we have the information and we've been sharing it with persons all along. I've seen scores of people who have come in and said, But that's not what people have been saying. Why people saying that when you have the information? Right. What I have said is my door is open. My phone line is open. The internet is wide open. Any information about the project that someone seeks, the information is there. So I'm sorry, I'm just not going to get into he say, she say.
Well, how complex is the investment? I saw another statement from the National Democratic Party that likened the project to debentures that were sold way back when the Electricity Corporation was just developing, in order to help to fund that project. Also, I've seen it likened to a simple certificate of deposit that the banks have. How simple an investment is it?
Well, there are two specific things there. There are two classes of shares in terms of common shares and preference shares. If an investor owns common shares in a company, the common shares value will appreciate based on the performance of the company in terms of its net profits and so on. The preference share is an agreement whereby you agree to invest in a company where your principal amount, the initial investment amount, doesn't move. It's intact. And the way you receive benefits is by dividends received by investing in those preference shares. Now, I think in the case of the debentures at Electricity at the time gave persons a fixed amount and then eventually gave them, in that case, I think it was interest payments. It's the same as a dividend. So I can see why they would liken it to something similar, whereby the principal amount, your initial investment, is intact, whether it's 5,000 or 10,000. The dividend allotment or the interest payments are the interest that is agreed to be paid for your investment in the offering.
Well, it's the same. If you go to the bank and you get you buy a CD, you invest in a CD, you say, I'm going to give you $50,000 at 1.3%, 1.4% interest a year for 10 years.
Yes.
Isn't that what you're saying in this?
The only difference with a banking institution is the matter of compound interest versus single payment interest. The way the SPV in this case is created is that every year commencing 2016, they will pay the dividend to the investor, which means that the dividends does not continue to compound year after year and create a debt on the company.
Okay. So
now the certificate of deposit, because the money is staying in the bank and you want your money to stay in the bank and continue to grow, it compounds upon the interest that you continue to earn after each period is closed.
So it accumulates over time.
It accumulates, yes. Yeah. Now, because
you're paying it back annually.
Yes, because the SPV wants to ensure that it maintains solid financial statements and so forth, and you don't want to continue running an obligation on your books. You declare the dividend and you pay the dividend, and that way, a couple of things happen. One, the financials of the company look a lot better. Two, the investors are satisfied and comforted that what they have signed up for is actually taking place. And then over time, whether it's the 7-year, the 10-year, or the 15-year, the investors are returned their assets and they are rewarded for investing in the project.
All right, now you had...
What I wanted, let me add something to this. On the matter of some of the statements you've heard, Edgewenka, again, as the fiduciaries of the authority, we have wrapped all of the resources, the requisite personnel and staff, from PMI, Clarence Faulkner, to Harney's, to PwC, our own internal general counsel, our UK counsel. We have a team of persons who have looked throughout the earth, all of the legalese, all of the financiers, in putting this special purpose vehicle together in order to make this offering. So we are very confident about what has been put forward. We fall within all of the legal parameters. So there's not even a suggestion or a hint of anything else. And anyone who will just make a statement for whatever reason, to us is just reckless, and it's irresponsible, and it does damage to our home, because this is ours. It belongs to us. And those kind of persons, the political apparatus and the leadership, have to deal with those kind of people. But for us and what we do here, we as fiduciaries, we have the best minds and the best people around the table that are the stewards of what's taking place here. So persons can be confident. And one of the key, if not the biggest news for the night, is that since the 16th, we've opened what is the third series, an increment of $5 million, I think it is. Now, not only to belongers, but even now both belongers and non-belongers can now invest in Tortola Pier Park Limited. And so if you reside in the BVI, you can now invest in the updated prospectus, provides opportunity for you to invest. And we want you who are responsible. You're not going to get this stuff from television. We do it to put in the public ear and to make you aware. But really, we want you to begin tomorrow morning to call Clarence at his office, call PMI where you sit, concerning your money and your stewardship in a serious and meaningful way where you can get the proper information that you need to make an informed decision. And it's going to run for about, 45 days?
45 days, yes.
45 days. And so this is the last opportunity for persons to participate, own a piece of the pie on Wickham Ski, specifically Tortola Pier Park Limited, which we believe, by just the sheer numbers, is the best investment opportunity anywhere. And your 7, 10, and 15-year increment, your 5 and 3 quarters, 6 and 3 quarters, and 8.43 for the 15-year. Please call Clarence at PMI. You sit with him. He is the best man for the job that will help you with the requisite information to make a decision about your future. You gotta set aside stuff about what people say. You gotta set aside the politics about it, and do what is in your best interest and your family's interest. And this vehicle, this special purpose vehicle, through the BVI Post Authority, through the government, through Tortola Pier Park Limited, provides now anyone who resides in the BVI an opportunity to grow with this jurisdiction.
Okay, now, so you look at trying to raise $5 million in these Class C shares.
No.
In the series.
In the series.
In the series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we've done. Let's go back in terms of this the classes in the series, because I think some persons tend to get a little confused.
Okay.
There are 3 specific classes: Class A, B, and C. Right. What we've done over the 3 series is we've offered the 3 classes in each one of the series. So someone who would have had an investment in Series A in Series 1 could have an investment in Series A in Series 3, because the 3 classes are still available in Series 3.
Okay.
Okay.
So after you says 45 days, it's going to be open up. After 45 days, what's going to happen?
Then the offering closes.
So you can no longer invest.
No.
And you're hoping to raise all the money you need by then. Yes, you're hoping to raise all the money you need by then.
That's the ideal situation.
And if you don't raise all the money that you need by then what happens?
Then the contingencies kick in.
And what are those contingencies?
Those are yet to be determined. What we are hoping over the next 45 days that we will in fact reach our full subscription, and we feel comfortable about that. But in the event that we're not, we do have some contingencies of which we will share, that if there's a need to cross that bridge, we're prepared to cross it.
So right now you feel that you're going to raise the money.
Yes.
Well,
And the total, so what is it, $16 million?
It's a total of 16, and there's $10 million more that we have to raise.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, whereas in Series 1 and 2, it was relegated to just belongers, in Series 3, it's now open to belongers and non-belongers.
But you
alike,
must be residing in the BVI.
as long as you reside in the BVI.
And I think that's a testament to how we've been addressing the concerns that have been raised from looking at Series 1 and understanding the dynamics of the investor and the investment community. We evolved into Series 2 because we recognized that several persons in the BVI had dual citizenship. And there are some persons who have asked, well, why not U.S. persons? Well, because U.S. persons are sanctioned by U.S. law. And U.S. law says that, you can't participate in a security unless it's sanctioned under U.S. law, which means I or the MD could not go to a U.S. border and say, we would like to sell you a share in the Tortola Pier Park. What it provides now is we needed to identify if there is an avenue for persons with dual citizenship that reside here in the territory. Can they participate in the deal? Is there any way? You heard the MD mention that we sought legal advice from here, New York, even as close as St. Thomas, to try and identify, is there any way? Under the U.S. securities law, under the U.S. securities law of 1940, there is something referred to as Regulation S that provides an exemption for persons with U.S. citizenship who resides outside of the U.S., that they can participate in an investment that is located outside of the U.S. Hence the reason now we're able to modify the prospectus for Series 2 and 3 to afford those persons who reside in the territory with those dual citizenship the opportunity to invest in the park.
Okay. We found an attorney on the clock there. You know how it is when you're going full speed ahead and you ain't keeping time. The clock will terrorize you. But certainly we got some clarification. We know where we are. I think from all indications, what you've spoken to tonight, the development is on schedule.
Yes.
Our expectation is by April it'll be ready to receive cruise ships, and it'll be fully operational by the fall this year.
Yes.
All right. And the shares are available to persons who are BVI landers, persons who have dual citizenship and reside in the BVI. Come in and talk to you, Clarence, at PMI, and that number is
494-4484.
Okay. And it's in the telephone book. And
the email is pierpark@pmipensions.com.
Yeah. So I like to say it's in the phone book so you could go and look for it, because 9 out of 10 times people don't remember the telephone number. If except you're going to get a pen and you write it down, say it again. Get your pen and say it again.
Telephone number 494-4484, and the email is pierpark@pmipensions.com.
Good. Well, brothers, thanks for coming by. You can come by anytime. It's always a pleasure to have you. When there's anything to be cleared up, when there's a lot of misinformation going around, people want to know what the truth is, feel free to use Spotlight.
Well, we appreciate you having us, and I will close by just again inviting persons to join us in building the future in the BVI. Change is inevitable, Edgewenka, but progress is optional. You got to make a decision to progress, and we are grateful to have had this opportunity to serve via the BVI Ports Authority in helping to advance our territory. We're asking persons to join us by investing in this development.
Let me make something quite clear, Edgewenka. My comments earlier surrounding that I will not address those type of comments and so forth. It's not that I cannot address them. I just don't think it serves the purpose of what we're trying to do. However, if anyone in the public, and I mean absolutely anyone, who wants to meet any place, anywhere, anytime to discuss the Tortola Pier Park and is willing to address any of the concerns, I am open to do so.
That's good to know.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thanks again. We're going to take a break for a word from we are going to take a break for a word from our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to have the chairman of the board of the Electricity Corporation and the director of the corporation. We're going to be talking about all the power outages we keep having every day. Well, not every day, but all the power outages that we keep having. We're going to find out what the causes are and what's being done to fix those power outages. Keep it locked right at the Spotlight. We'll be right back after these words of our sponsors.
Spotlight is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands and CCT Global Communications.